What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Dylan.
Your boy Rashawn.
Back with episode 3 of the Dollar and a Dream podcast. Thank y'all for supporting us, man, from the beginning. We plan on putting out more content. It's Saturday. Hope y'all having a blessed Saturday out there and y'all doing well. Today we wanted to come to you guys with a topic about the importance of money in your life when it comes to being responsible, experiences with money, how it can affect your mental health if you're not dealing with it the right way. Credit, also the importance of having a good credit score and what it can open up for you, ways to improve it, because I've had my ups and downs and struggles with credit in my life, and I'm at a point where I'm trying to get back to the 800s, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, man, but you want to add anything else before we get started, Ron?
No, let's kick it off, man.
Cool. So I got a couple questions I had planned out to ask you, and I'll plan on answering them myself. But the first question is, like when you view money, like what does money mean to you? What would you say it means to you?
To me, it's more like a mean to an end to a cause.
Okay.
Money has never really meant any. Like it's like it only means something to me because of the current world and environment that we live in.
Yeah.
Of course, you got government and parliament and everything, and the federal government and everything.
Right.
That's how it's set up to where you need money, you work.
Right.
You buy things. But that's pretty much it. Money really means nothing to me.
Okay.
Family, things, real things matter to me. But money itself, it's nothing more than a means to an end for me. So it's like, I want to have a better life for my family. I want to be a homeowner one day.
Okay.
You need money for that. You know what I mean? Money and credit.
Right.
We need a couple more things. Than money, but just a means to an end. That's all it really means to me.
Okay. No, I appreciate your perspective on it and your point of view, and I agree with you, man. I think for a time I was at a point where I focused on money so much that it led me to make some rash decisions, because I think I let money be too important to me, because I was so worried about providing for my family, so worried about not having money, because I grew up poor and things like that, and low income neighborhood, welfare and food stamps. My mom was a single parent, had me and my brother Daryl, and I was always like, oh man, I don't ever want to be broke, I don't ever want to be in need or things like that. But I think you have to somehow figure out a way to balance it. Like you said, like at some point there has to be a means to an end, to where you're not giving up your life just to have money. Like, you got to be able to feed your family, pay your bills, save a little bit of money, go on trips if you want to, however you want to live your lifestyle. But it can't be so important that that's like the only thing that you care about. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I'm kind of on the same boat with you, bro. And I'm working hard to change my mindset toward it, because really, when you make enough money, it comes down to how you budget it, too, on top of that. Like, if you need roommates, or you need to cut back on going out to eat or whatever, or buying certain things, video game, whatever you like to do with your time, you might have to make some arrangements and adjustments. Like I had to do. I was at a point where, like, I had a video talking about my debt issues. At one point, I was $15K in debt, bro. Like, I think I'm down to like 11 and a half now. So I've been steadily getting chopping wood, Right. So, I had
That's good though. Out of 15, you got 11. So
11, bro. Now I'm getting, in another week I'll have it down to 10. Right. So I'm saving up to pay stuff off, and I'm just trying to hustle hard and get it done, so that way I ain't gotta have that over my head. But it took a lot of growth, you know what I mean? I had to sit down and be honest that I needed help budgeting, because when I was younger, I didn't have nobody to really tell me what. Like, I was told to go to school and get a job and all that stuff, but I never knew like how to make a budget. Like, when I get paid on let's say for example I make $3,000 a month, and my rent's $1,000, and my phone bill's $100, and my grocery bill's $100, and SMUD's $100. Okay, so now I got $1,300 left to have until the end of the month. And now, okay, well, how am I going to divvy this up? I didn't plan like that. I didn't know how to what to put back in savings, what to say no to. Like, I can't buy this, or I can't go kick it with y'all over here because it's not in my budget, bro. Next time I can get with y'all when I got some more bread or whatever. So as I've gotten to the point where I was in my early, now I'm 31, I'm like, now I'm focusing hard. I keep track of the amount of money I spend, because let's say I have like $300-400 in between paychecks every other week, right?
Right.
I'll keep a screenshot of like $400, and then when I spend 50 on gas, I'll go to 350. When I spend 50 on my wife to go eat, that's 300. So then I keep track of how much I'm at. So then I'm like, oh yo, I'm getting kind of low. Excuse me, I'm getting kind of low. So we can't do that. You know what I mean? Until I get paid on whatever day. So discipline. Yeah, like you was talking about. I know you was talking to me and Uche about that a few weeks ago, bro. Yeah. How you like for you? Did you ever have to struggle with budgeting at all? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I grew up. You know, I won't say like I grew up. You know, poor, super poor, or like. You know what I mean? Like my ribs was showing growing up, but you know, I could definitely see, and it's like when you're growing up and you're like a kid and even a teenager, and you're going to school, and then you got your peers, and you're seeing people that maybe in a different class of you, or they got more successful parents than you, and like then you kind of and then you know, you as a kid you're interpreting, and you're kind of peeping like the difference, you know what I mean? And you know, so I definitely like growing up seemed like the difference. I could tell the difference. And it's like growing up seeing like my mom struggle, and just family struggle, like, you know, like that, you know, it kind of is hard, you know what I mean? It kind of changes you.
Dang.
It kind of changes you a little bit, you know what I mean? With like how you gonna go through your life, you know what I mean? Because you kind of seeing like what you want for yourself and what you don't want, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that.
But yeah, so I grew up, you know what I mean, knowing that I wanted, but at the same time, I kind of grew up like around hustlers too. A little bit, like especially on like my dad's side, you know what I mean, like seeing different type of hustlers too. You know, some of them got their money illegally,
right?
You know, something I wouldn't really support, but it definitely influenced me definitely in life. But like I was saying with the importance of money, like, and how you were saying like with you can't be too much, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like I went through a time in my life where I kind of emulated like the hustlers and people that was getting their money by extorting females, their body, you know what I mean, to get money, and I kind of tried to emulate that, and, you know what I mean? You know, kind of be like a mob boss type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, for some reason, a lot of humans, like, kind of like, that's kind of like a fantasy, you know what I mean?
Right.
No, you know what I mean? To want to be like, you know what I mean?
Like Godfather or something.
Godfather, or be like, you know what I mean? I got the corner cracking, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? You getting bread making, you know what I mean? A couple racks a day, you know what I mean?
I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse.
You know what I mean? And I know like a lot of our elders, you know what I mean, kind of grew up in like the crack epidemic. And cocaine and that, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I definitely had a lot of influence, you know what I mean, when it comes to like money, but what was your original
about management? Like if you had to struggle over managing your money at all?
Oh yeah.
Or did you have to learn it? Like how did you?
I feel like it kind of. I feel like I kind of feel like I kind of got blessed a little bit, because that's kind of like almost a natural. I feel like more of a natural strength of mine. I don't know if it's because something that I went through, or just, I don't know.
Some people just got it. I don't know.
I've always kind of been disciplined to some extent when it comes to money.
Okay.
but what to do with my money and everything, you know, that's a whole nother story. But I've always kind of been disciplined for the most part. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know a lot of my peers and stuff like that aren't really as good with their money management like that, especially my generation. So I'm kind of blessed that I kind of was kind of a little bit smart and knew like to save and had a budget and you know. I don't know. There's you got discipline, and then you also go you got sacrifice.
Right.
The sacrifices they kind of go hand in hand, but you know you can be disciplined, but then don't know how to save. So it's a balance. You got to know how to sacrifice. To me, it's always like my mentality is be like, okay, when I got some bread, it's always been like, okay, do I want to be comfortable for 3 days? My first 3 days of my check hitting.
Yeah.
Do I really want to be extremely comfortable and not really be real with myself in my life? Or do I want to not necessarily be uncomfortable, but be just okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like not to want anything. Like I don't, you know what I mean? But I'm not needing anything at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's a balance. Definitely, it's definitely a balance with that. But my mentality is always like, you know, why? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like barely having any money saved up, and then you get like your check for like 2 bands, and it's your birthday weekend, and you want to, but you know what you want to do is gonna put you in a hole.
Yeah.
So it's like, would you rather turn up for that birthday, or do you want to just keep that in your pocket and work towards making every day your birthday towards you want to go out and
you can just do it,
have a drink with your partners and spend a couple $100 at the bar and then go downtown. You know what I mean? That's, you know, it's all perspective and what levels to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to do that with your only $2,000 that you got? I mean, when really you should be at a point where you're thinking like, I want every day to be my birthday.
Yeah.
And then once you get that, you'll have a more experience. Now instead of when your birthday do come, that's regular stuff. Now you going overseas for your birthday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? And because you got more than, you know what I mean? You stacked up, you took the sacrifice, you got $100K in the bank, you got $10K coming annually every month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really, you know what I mean?
Right.
We doing that going out and, you know, and kicking it and all that. We doing that on an everyday basis. That's just regular.
That's something
now.
you can just decide to do because you put yourself in a position.
Right.
Once you put yourself in a position to do what you want to do with your life, because you sacrifice maybe going out or maybe eating out or spending extra money on fancier things or buying real nice cars and whatever.
It all adds up.
You gotta, I do agree, bro. I think the sacrifice is something that I've had to learn a lot this year. I haven't been able to do a whole lot because I'm paying off my debts and stuff like that. But I've also felt more
That's
relief.
part of sacrificing, though.
Yeah, I felt more relief knowing I'm getting closer to my goal. You know what I mean? And it's like if I don't sacrifice now, then when am I gonna sacrifice? You know what I mean? So.
Right.
So I appreciate your perspective, bro, and your point of view on that. I think a lot of people could benefit from having that mentality of like, well, I don't want to just live for today. I want to be able to have a lifestyle. I'm aiming for this certain lifestyle, and then what do I got to do to get to there? You know what I mean? And like you said, you have to sacrifice something, bro, to really be stable.
Coming from our positions,
Yeah.
and you know, most of the people that's hardworking and. You know what I mean? Like people like us that, you know what I mean, that don't come from wealth and actually gotta go to get a job or hustle and do what you gotta do and start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but we live, like I was saying, like when I was getting my hair cut, like, you know what I mean, earlier today. You know, I got sharp today. We was just talking about how the world is so capitalist. You know what I mean? And that's trickled down to even our everyday life. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? With not making the sacrifices, because when you're coming from where we need to come from, the world doesn't want us to the world unfortunately doesn't want more millionaires and billionaires. They're trying to keep people like us where we're at. They're trying to keep us suppressed.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're helping them by not sacrificing. And
Right.
you know, and I know going into our next subject, you know, wanted to touch like how it's like being a parent. Definitely a chance. I know you don't have any kids.
Not yet.
You know what I mean? But that's a very I feel like if you can't do that for yourself, being a parent is probably one of the biggest blessings when it comes with money management and a parent, because a lot of people just simply don't have the strength to do it
on their own,
like, or for themselves.
For themselves,
like,
yeah.
They'll just, you know, hey, I'm gonna just do what I need to do, blow this, you know, and spend this extra and not really make any sacrifices. So,
yeah. Right.
You know, but you know, I would say for me, being a father is definitely increased that to a magnitude. You know what I mean? Because I just want to leave something behind, and I want to increase their chances of survival. And it's just, I just know that the world is not going to get easier. Things are going to get harder. It's going to get more competitive. You know, the world is just changing, and I just want to make sure I give them the best shot to, you know.
No, I respect that. And I think, like you said, we were talking about it before we got on the podcast. Like, it starts with us as the leaders of our family, the heads of our families, men. You know, to set the model, the example we want for our families, our kids, our wives, to be financially responsible and financially dependable. And that's something that I aspire to continue to do, because I don't want to be inconsistent when it comes to that type of stuff. I want my wife to be able to depend on me, and if I have kids, I want the kids to be able to have a good example to follow, instead of being reckless with money and just blowing it on things. I mean, yeah, you're gonna make mistakes and things like that, but if I can set a foundation for them to have a healthy view of money, then it'll also help them have a healthy view of spending that money. Because it's gonna come and go, but you're gonna have to be responsible to make sure you're gonna keep it, because if an emergency happens, you got to be able to afford that. Because you never know what's gonna happen the next day, right? So you don't want to just be kind of like just a fish on a hook. You know, you want to be able to do the fishing. So, yeah, man, I thought to ask you that because I don't have kids, but I know, like, for some people, having children, it helps them to think more outside of themselves, to be better and more responsible in certain areas.
Which is okay if you need your kids to be the catalyst in order for you to, you know, do what you need to do and excel in life. You know?
Yeah. So like let's say like early 20s, 18 to 22, 23 Rashawn, right? Versus 30 to 33 Rashawn. Like, do you feel like your views changed at all towards money or towards responsibility, or like, do you feel like it's similar? Or like,
yeah, definitely. I had no responsibility like 21, 22. I was worried about 21 and 22-year-old stuff for the most part.
Yeah, I get that.
Man, I didn't even really grasp credit like that at that point. Still a few years off from that. Even when I was like 21, 22, I still was, you know, a few years off from even thinking of credit. Definitely it's changed though. You know, when you're young like that, you're kind of young and reckless. You still
young and reckless, like a TV show.
I kind of view myself as, I ain't gonna say stupid, but very
inexperienced.
Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
You're young, you know.
You know.
He's like, I was dumb.
Very inexperienced. I try not to. I mean, it definitely is a difference. I'm trying not to go deep into it, because when you asked me that, I kind of like seen the difference I kind of got like a little frustrated.
Oh, okay.
Because it kind of in my head, I kind of like had flashes of like of just growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
And just the lack of why I was, because I don't want I completely want my kids to be in a completely different space where I was. Like where I was at 22, I want them to be where I was or am now at least.
Like
better. And when they're where I'm at now, I want them to be
better than that.
Even more further, you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, I get that.
So it's like, yeah, so I'm just, I'm going to just leave it at that because I'm going to get into, deeper things in my life, that I went through.
Yeah, that's all right.
And the lack of experience. But, man, that's why it's so important. Man, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids because that's what it's about. You got to change the narrative and you got to give them the best chance possible in life. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I 100% agree with you, bro. It's on us to set that example because if I was a parent, I wouldn't want them learning from somebody that I didn't know or didn't trust or, some random person. I want them to learn from the person that they look up to, that as their father. Right. Yeah, man. I would say for myself, I really feel like it went downhill for me when I was young because I was in college. You go to college, you get your first credit card, and you just buying Xboxes and buying Jordans and spending money on food, just buying a bunch of stuff that young people buy, and then you thinking to yourself, I could just pay this back. I could just pay this back and everything. And then I got to that point where you run up your credit cards and stuff, and then you're like, oh, now this is a monthly bill. Now I gotta figure out a way to fix this. But I never had the discipline I needed to understand like what was a need versus a want. Like I might want those Jordans, but do I need those Jordans? I might want that Xbox, but do I need that Xbox? Exactly. But I was younger, so I didn't really care about that. I thought like I have time. I can just worry about this later when I get a better job or whatever, when I graduate school or whatever it looks like. But now as a person that's more mature, I calculate the cost. Like I'm looking at myself like, yeah, I can wait for that. Or I can wait 3-4 months and save up and just buy it out straight with cash as opposed to putting it on credit. Yeah. Because if you have the cash to buy it, you just buy it and then you ain't got to worry about it no more, man. And I aspire to put myself in a situation like you were saying where every day you can just, if you really want to do something, you can have a budget set and afford it and then keep it pushing. I ain't gonna be, wait a minute, I'm over here penny pinching because I was irresponsible and all that, wasn't prepared. So I feel like I'm in a better place now and I'm more focused now. And I think that just comes with experience and age and your circle, man. And also having God in your circle as well to depend on for that clarity. Because, I feel like it's necessary.
I know you were saying when you was young, you kind of, I did the same thing, man. Wells Fargo offered me that.
The same bank, bro.
They offered it to me, man, and I blew it. I ain't gonna lie.
Wells Fargo,
I blew it. And it took me a while, and I'm glad I didn't run it up too much and go crazy on it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it took me a while to get that straight with that.
Because when you're that young, bro, and you don't have no experience with credit, you're not gonna know. Okay, I should only spend 30% of my balance and, and all that stuff. Like something you learn as you kind of mess up a little bit and you realize how much interest you got to pay on purchases and all that. You're like, I paid $80 in interest this month. Dang, my minimum payment is $50. And now I got to pay the interest and the minimum payment in order to break even. You know what I mean? And it adds up to a lot, bro. And times is already tight and hard enough. So why make it worse on myself instead of just doing what's in my budget, doing what's in my control, and being honest. And that's where you gotta be honest with yourself. Like, if I can't afford this, man, it's cool. I ain't got nobody to impress. Like, I just gotta do what's best for me and mine. And at the end of the day, that should be enough. You know what I mean?
Well, at this point, what do you feel like credit means to you now versus, then when you kind of took it for granted? Like, how significant in the value you put into credit?
I highly value it. I feel like there's not a lot you can do without it, unless you have the money to just buy stuff straight out, which most people don't. The average person, his average income is like $40,000 or something, I believe it is.
Right.
So most people can't just afford to go to the car lot and just buy a car off the lot when everything's like $20,000 and $30,000, or just buy a house in California when it's $500K minimum.
That's half of your bread. yearly
You know what
bread
I'm
right
saying?
there.
Yeah. So I think for myself, I was like, all right, if I don't fix this, then I'm not gonna be in position. So if my wife wants us to get a house, or we agree to go get a house, or we agree to, I don't know, rent out it, or just buy a car, or have something that you need a good credit score to get for the most part.
Mhm.
If I don't have a good credit score, then that means I'm paying higher interest. I'm paying a bigger down payment. I don't want to put that stress on my family because I wasn't responsible. Because I look at credit like I do trust. If you don't have good credit, it's usually because
Right.
you either forgot to pay something back, or didn't have the money that went to collections, or you just weren't responsible in paying the money back.
Right.
So that's how banks, that's how real estate agents, that's how schools, that's how they all look at you. When you someone that come in, I got a 500, and no knocking nobody who got one, because you can fix it,
Right.
get you straight, do what you got to do, but. It represents, for me, it represents who I am. If I'm willfully not taking care of business, then I'm just being lazy and irresponsible, and I'm not creating a game plan to fix my situation. Because now that I'm married, bro, I think differently about it, because it don't just affect me no more.
Right.
Like, my credit affects my wife. If we both going to try to get a home,
Right.
and my credit score is hecka low and hers is high, it's gonna probably bring hers down in a sense, because mine is so low. It's like I want both of us to be in a good position to where I got an 8, she got an 8, we got 60,000 to put down or whatever, and we don't have to stress.
Right.
But it takes, like you said, sacrifice. It takes, if you need financial help, they got financial people who can help you to budget. They have people who can help you. My position was when I had that Wells Fargo problem, bro. I remember calling them, and I was like, yeah, I need to figure out a way to lower my payment, and then they put me on this like 1% APR plan for like 2 years. So I was able to do it, but I couldn't spend money on the card. If I spent money on the card, then they said that the interest rate would go back to normal. So I cut the card up, bro, and I remember I owed like $3,500 on that card, and I remember paying it off. I was living with my grandpa at the time. I paid it off, bro, and I was just like, dang, man, I don't ever want to go through this much stress again. Even though I didn't really learn from it, because I ended up getting back into debt anyway. But now that I've understood how much stress and how much anxiety it caused me to have to be in a bad position financially and credit wise. I know who I want to be now. I know I want to be that person that takes responsibility when it comes to credit. And I want to get in a position to where I'm using credit by option, not because I need to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that, to answer that's my answer. And so for yourself, how'd you feel? How do you feel about credit now?
Man, definitely very important. I feel like it's definitely important for people in our positions, because it's like, if you already do, like, let's say if you do the math and break down your math, like, okay, I bring in 50K a year, boom, boom, boom. Okay, my rent total is 1,600 every month. Bam, times 12, boom, boom, boom. Subtract that from that, okay? If you got car payment, boom, 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 boom. You probably only gonna have, like you said, you ain't gonna have too much bread left over, you know what I mean? So it's easy for us to get in a trap because we're already in a situation where we don't have too much to work with, and then when we get the credit and be like, okay, we got a little extra breathing room, we go crazy. But you know what I mean? Credit is very important, and it's the lack of education for us.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? That kind of spirals us, you know what I mean, into trouble and having like debt and stuff. But it's definitely important because, you know, if you're not making much, but if you got good credit, that can open up so many doors.
Yep.
For you.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? To even like getting a business started, a house, anything, you know what I mean? Yeah. Credit is even more valuable than cash.
Yeah, I ain't lying, man.
Is definitely important, you know what I mean? And something I wish, you know, I was better or more self-aware of coming up. You know, because when you're making, you know, 50, 40K a year, you know, it'd be nice to, you know, because I know people that work 9 to 5s and don't make that much, but are good savers, and can manage to, if you could give up, I'm gonna just say it like this, if you can save up 20K and you got good credit, you can go and apply and get approved for like a 20K loan. You put that 20K that you saved up, however long it took you to save that, and you take that 20K loan, bam, you could damn near kick off a business or kick something off. That's a decent amount. That's a decent amount of change. You could get something going. So credit is very important. And it needs to be, for some reason, bro, like I feel like shouldn't you feel like that should have been like a mandatory class or something in school? Like I don't really understand. I know in school they had
business math
or something like that, but it wasn't really like
about credit. It was about interest and stuff like that. Yeah. They're teaching you about interest on purchases and on buying something, how much tax you're gonna pay on or whatever.
But like we said, it's a war. It's a war out here. They don't want y'all to know that. That's what I'm saying. Look, I know this is getting on topic a little bit, but I just want to break down also. We got the coming elections coming up. And I feel like in our community, we put so much importance on the Republican and Democrats, but white people have known this for years. Like, you can't really do nothing on a federal level, like with things. White people are, and I ain't gonna say white people. I don't want to make it like a race thing, but you know what I mean? Certain people are very good at understanding the difference. And I feel like us as a people and minorities, we gotta start realizing the importance of voting in your local neighborhoods, your local council, your mayor. That is how you got communities. See, white people are very good at protecting like their shell, like their, you know what I mean? That's how you got certain zip codes and you got certain areas that you'll be completely, and then you go across the freeway and it's completely different. Because you can't do nothing about the whole thing of federal, but you can control your neighborhood.
Like your local community.
You can control your local community. That's how people are able to have good schools in their certain districts or not have smoke shops in their neighborhood because they vote on that. They're like, no.
We don't want
when
that
they
here.
built that casino right there out in Elk Grove.
Oh yeah.
It took them so long to build that because they had to get approval from that district right there. And everybody in that district had to vote for that. Somebody said, oh, I wonder if they're going to get the light rail extended out there. No, they're not going to get the extended light rail because they're going to have to vote on that. And I guarantee you those people over there in those, because that's a neighborhood. There's not really too much going. That's kind of like suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those people aren't going to want people all the way from Howe Avenue to be able to come all the way down, get off and set up shop, or transients. So I feel like that would never take place, like the light rail extending out there, because certain people, you got to vote for certain things. But the whole point is, you know what I mean? We got to start looking, we got to start educating on what's real, and we got to snap out of what they're telling our legacy is, and we got to start putting stuff in our own hands. You know what I mean?
Like taking action.
Yeah, taking action, because they're not going to do it. They didn't teach us this in school. You know what I mean? And no knock against. You know what I mean? The people that came before me, because they didn't. They probably is in the same situation. They didn't have the knowledge
that we have now.
To pass down the knowledge that I was hoping they was. You know what I mean?
It's like you only know what you know, kind of thing. So you're only going to be able to teach somebody something that you learned. You know? And I do agree with you. I think the school system could improve on like teaching people the benefits of credit, because I think you got so many financial YouTubers that get on YouTube and try to, tell you what you need to do and how you can do it. I've seen some of it, and some of it is pretty good. But why can't we have that starting in the home? Why can't we have that as a class in high school? Like, let me teach you guys about, what's it gonna look like for you as an adult and how you need to manage your money and learn about credit. Because if you don't learn this stuff when you're 18, you're gonna struggle when you're mid-20s trying to fit. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, but they also need a working force, and they know the only way they're going to have a working force is by having uneducated people. So I understand why they don't have credit, because they want people to be Amazon drivers and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and support the elite and keep the elite, you know what I mean? And be their workforce for the elite. So I kind of get it, but that's kind of why I drifted off with the election stuff, and because we got to take stuff in our own hands. Stop with this, you know what I mean? We got to start thinking deeper with things, you know what I mean? It's the little things that we can control, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's things within our power that we can
do. Forget about Trump and all this, you know what I mean? And our community want to knock that man, forget, we don't need Trump. You know what I mean? They ain't never, you know what I mean? When Barack was in office, that didn't stop them from doing what they wanted to do. You know what I mean? They still made sure they put exactly who they wanted as mayor to run their city. You know what I mean? And then they made sure they vote who they want to for their neighborhood to get grants, because that's how you get grants and that's how you get approvals for stuff in your neighborhood. That's how you get a community center in your neighborhood. That's how you get all kind of stuff for your neighborhood. Yeah. Better policing, all that comes in hand. Better schools, you know what I mean? All that comes with votes, you know what I mean? So you got to vote local. And just take things in our own hands, because they not, you know what I mean? It's a cycle, and you can easily get it caught up in that cycle, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to make a way for, for our next generations and for our families and stuff. And that comes with the knowledge that we gain, and then it's that way we can be guides and direct people who need that support and need that clarity when it comes to money management and credit and all that stuff. So, yeah, man, you brought out a lot of good points, bro. I mean, and there's only so much that, you and I can do, only two people.
But all we can do is better ourselves and try to better each other, you know what I mean, by bettering ourselves.
Right.
You know
it starts with us,
Yeah, it all starts with us, you know what I mean?
Word. So I know we'll go on from credit. I know you talked about budgeting already. So I know you talked about owning a home. Do you plan on ever owning your own home? Or?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely, you know what I mean? Well, I know we own a little 1%.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to Shaq.
But shout out to Shaq. But definitely, property, it's called real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's real estate. It's what's real. Cars, stuff like that. Clothes. None of that stuff is real. Real estate is definitely important. I definitely want to own a home. It goes up in value over time.
Yeah, it could be a good investment.
Yeah, a good investment. You'll always have a home. Your kids got a home. I definitely want to own a home though.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I'm kind of on the same boat. Me and my wife talk about it all the time. We talk about, at some point, once the economy hopefully will improve around housing, maybe in a couple of years we could try to look at, of course, start saving up and paying stuff down so we can be in a position to be prepared to do that. And then hopefully the rates will go down and things like that. But I plan on owning a home at some point too. I don't know exactly when, but the game plan is at least 3 years. So we'll see how the economy is looking in regards to real estate by that time. So, because renting is cool and all, don't get me wrong, but with the way that rent is going up so much in our country, man, it's just, it's coming to a point to where you might as well buy a house. At least you'll be paying to own and not paying to rent. So I think if it's in your budget, then, hey, go for it. And that's something that's a goal of mine.
Yeah. And it's getting harder, y'all. Because they wanted it to be harder for us to own a house. That is why, like he said, they're going up on rent. So you can stay caught up in the rent cycle and make it a little bit harder for you to save or put that little extra couple dollars to just go and buy your house.
Right. It's going to be difficult, man. But if you have good credit and you put yourself in a position and to have some extra money on it, like you were saying, with the sacrifices and the budgeting, you can still do it despite what the system is designed to do or whatever the case may be. Like you can
do it.
You can do it. You gotta just plan and you gotta.
And it might be hard. It might be hard because we gotta sacrifice a lot more. You know what I mean?
Man, my uncle told me that.
Yeah, we gotta sacrifice. It's just basic math. You know what I mean? You gotta sacrifice. You just gotta be able to sacrifice, and it's harder for us when you don't have much to sacrifice because you go to work and you kind of want to just enjoy your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want to kind of do what you want to do for a minute, and that's a hard thing to ask a lot of people to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be uncomfortable for
That's
temporary.
what it is. That's really what it is, man.
But you just gotta just think of it as just temporary. You know what I mean? Just be like I always would put weird scenarios in my head. Like whenever I like had a goal for like the end of my year, like okay, I want to have like 25K at the end of the year in my savings account. I've always been good at like putting perspectives in my mind and actually believing that was my life.
Right.
So I would be like
envisioning.
Yeah, envisioning like it's cats right now that's sitting down for a year that's stuck in prison or something, or there's somebody doing a year in prison, and or even I could be in prison right now, but I'm free and I'm able to do what I need to do right now. So I would be like, you know what I mean, just putting weird scenarios in my head, like you know, or just like telling myself, hey, I'm finna go do this, finna go sit down for these 12 months, man.
Yeah,
I'm finna hit the pen, you know what I mean? Mentally, mentally, you know what I mean? Like Pac said, you know what I mean? You ain't gotta be in jail, you know what I mean? Or you ain't gotta be, what Pac used to say? He used to say, you ain't gotta be to be doing time, you ain't gotta be in jail. You ain't gotta be in jail to be doing time.
Right. Yeah, I got you on that. It's like it's a mindset of sacrifice, like, and that's one thing my wife tells me a lot. But her mom tells me a lot is like sitting it down. Like you got to sit it down sometimes, and you got to just grind and sacrifice, man. And it's gonna pay off though. Once you get to that point to where you're in a better situation financially, you're gonna be all right. It's just not looking at it temporarily. Look at it for the long term. Like open up your mindset, you know, kind of thing, and then see it for what you really need for yourself. So that way you're not caught struggling and at the end and all that stuff. I feel like
but that's the power, man. That's the power of the brain.
Yeah.
The brain is a very important part of our body, and I feel like it definitely should be more funding and more like support in that aspect of just people, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people going through a lot of mental, you know, stress, you know what I mean? Stress and depression. I feel like that goes in hand, and that kind of shuts down people from making sacrifices. Like, you know, when I was telling you earlier, when I was going through my depression, like I was making no sacrifices. I was, you know, I was depleting my whole savings, you know what I mean? You know, just not taking care of myself, eating out, indulging in things to kind of, to trick this up here.
Distract your mind and stuff, and
to distract
your
mind.
reality a little bit.
But the brain is very important, and you know, it's the reason why, you know, we're the generation of anxiety and social disconnect. You know what I mean? It's a reason for that, and you know, just a lot of things that's going on in the world. You could kind of web them together, and they all intertwine, links, and comes back around, and you know, you can see how each piece affects each other.
I agree, because I can relate to just myself, like having so much anxiety about debt and about trying to pay things off and not having a plan and not being honest about what I was struggling at, areas I'm weak at or whatever. And then once I got to that point of being honest with what I needed to get help on, and then actually taking the steps to change the habits I was developing, it started getting easier. Now I'm not stressing about it because I know every month I'm putting X amount of dollars on this debt. And in 6 months it's gonna be done, or whatever that looks like for each person, right? For myself, I'm like, yep, I'm at 15, I'm at 14, I'm at 12, now I'm at 11, now I'm about to be at 10 in another week. I'm like, I'm looking forward to knocking that down, so I don't have to have that monkey on my back no more. You know what I mean? Then I can really live free and save and plan and travel and do things that I really want to do in my life instead of just having to be giving my money to Visa or MasterCard. You know what I mean?
Right, every time.
I don't want to be a slave to the lender. Like the Bible, I know it's a random thing, but the Bible will say like the borrower is a slave to a lender.
Right.
So if you continue to borrow and borrow and borrow, that's gonna be the person that you're a slave to. You're gonna have to continue to pay that person back. And you just like, dang man, I can't live because I'm constantly just on a hamster on a wheel paying off debt just to stay afloat.
Right.
Like, no, bro, you want to get over that, get over the hump, become financially responsible, become financially literate, understand credit, so you can get to the point where you're not in a cycle of poverty or a cycle of low income.
Right.
You can change that, and it starts with your, like you said, your mental health and your habits. Because once you get over that anxiety and depression and make a plan, and if you got to go to therapy, go to God, whatever you got to do to fix your situation, just start taking those steps, man, and then you'll see the changes. And I'm a living testament of somebody who was downward spiraling, and now I'm focusing on my relationship with God, and I'm also doing therapy to help myself to get leveled out, you know, so I can be whole. You know what I mean? That's real.
Right. Definitely real. And you definitely gotta look deep within. As I said, we live in a capitalist world. Like, it's easy. Like, they want you to continue to spend your money. Like, you know, they come out with a new iPhone every year. You know what I mean?
Man.
You just gotta just have the strength. Like he said, if you need therapy, God, can't go wrong with God.
Nope.
God, you need God regardless.
Yeah.
You know, whether y'all want to hear it or not, I'm not even trying to push anything onto nobody. You know what I mean? I don't even want to get too much into it, but I'm going to just throw that out there and y'all can interpret it. But I feel like
I agree with you.
You need that. You need that.
Direction, man.
You need that direction. You need that direction for sure because, you know, we're not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get pressurized and you're going to hear them voices whispering in your ear to do things.
Yeah, man, we was just talking about that.
You're going to have people that's trapped, that's foot soldiers for you know who. Voldemort.
The other side. Harry Potter.
The name we don't say.
We shall not speak.
He got foot soldiers and they going to come to you with that new iPhone 12 and pull it out in front of you.
You know you want this.
And your brain is going to be like, you know, might look at Joe and be like, man, I need to upgrade. You don't need to upgrade. You don't need to upgrade. You can upgrade once you take care of all the other stuff. You know
priorities come first, man.
Right.
Priorities come first. It's needs versus wants.
Right.
What do you need, and then versus what do you want? And if it's something that you want, then save up for what you want. Don't be a slave to the lender to get what you want.
Right.
And that's the problem I had growing up.
And don't be afraid. This is my daily phone. Every day. I don't care, man, because I know. You know what I mean? What I know, you know, it's people out there with better phones than this, but ain't got 20K in their savings account.
Right, or even 1,000.
Or even
like,
1,000.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know I can't say that. I know I got more than $1,000 in my savings account. My phone might not be the best. You know what I mean?
Galaxy S15 on the way.
Right. You know what I mean? Before this, I was wolfed out. I could, you know, get a haircut every 2 weeks if I can. What's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My friends ain't gonna look at me like, oh, I can't kick it with you nigga until you get a lineup. Or, you know what I mean?
Your hair up. Like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the, you know, if it ain't gonna hurt, you know, I could, that extra, you know, to get that, I could roll that over. You know what I mean? That little money that I was gonna spend on I could roll that over, and that's extra money to utilize for that, or put in or do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just gotta make sure it's all up to the individual perspective, but don't be afraid to change your perspective. You know,
be open-minded.
And be open-minded. You know,
I agree with you, man. Yeah, man. I feel like we talked about a lot of important things. You know, about just our viewpoint from younger men to more mature men, and if I'm not a father, but you as a father. your history with money as a growing up and trauma, if you had any behind it. Also, the importance of credit and things like that. The owning a home, which is something we both want to do, and also setting the example for the people that are looking up to us to show them that they can be responsible and that they don't have to be afraid. That they're not gonna be they're gonna be without. Like and like you said, setting your future spawn up, your future kids up the right way by making sacrifices now, so that way they don't have to stress like we did. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, that's all I got. I mean, I don't know if you got more information or anything else you want to share.
That's pretty much it, y'all. You know what I mean? We kicked all the game we got for the day.
Yes, sir.
I'm just glad that I know I rewatched that last episode, y'all. Man, I think I literally counted how many times I said like. So going into this one, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure, because that's kind of like when I get nervous. I start saying repetitive words to kind of like, what I mean, fill in filler words, and I was just using like way too much.
It takes time, man.
But yeah, I just want to, I mean, we gonna get it tight and keep rocking with the podcast, and it's only gonna get better. The content gonna only get better.
Yeah.
We got some.
We're trying to have people on. My friend Alex. I'm trying to see like next time we get together is when he told me to let him know, so we could all get together and do an episode. So we're planning on having my friend Alex get
our first guest, and that'll be our first guest.
Our first guest, yeah. So we're trying to get him on, and then I think next week one of my other friends wants to get on and just talk about. I don't know exactly what the topic's going to be about yet. I got to find out, but he wants to do a Zoom call, so I'll upload that recorded Zoom call for you guys who want to check out, learn a little bit about my friend August, and get to know him, and I go back with him since 6th grade. So y'all, again, we appreciate your time and efforts and listening to our podcast and liking and subscribing. If you do enjoy the content, share it on your social media. Leave some comments if y'all like what we heard or you have questions about anything, and I'll try to respond and stuff. So yeah, man, have a blessed rest of y'all Saturday.
Have a blessed weekend. One love.
We out. Oh, I didn't stop. Wait.
Stop.
No, I didn't.